everyone, Amanda here. So I'm here today with the tutorial for the Capture the Memories project that I'm doing. So if you've not seen the previous video, we have a full tutorial for this beautiful box today, which is made from chipboard. I've wrapped it with fabric tape, but you could use paper hinges. I've added these beautiful feet. We've got a magnetic closure. Okay, it's absolutely stunning, and it's designed specifically to fit the mini folios, which I have made 3 so far, and we're going to make 1 a month for 12 months to give you a full 12-month catalogue of memories. Add your photos in these and you're going to have a full collection. What a fantastic project to make. It's very simple, it's a very simple design, but I've done the tutorial in real time, so it's quite a long tutorial, but it's well worth watching all the way through before you make the box. So there's a link below for the cutting guide, and the cutting guide includes the cutting guide for the box and the cutting guide for the folio as well. Okay, so it's a double project cutting guide that you're receiving. All right, so without further ado, let's get creating. Okay, so let's start and construct the box. Now I've used 2mm thick chipboard. Okay, so that's what you need to use. You know, if you need to stick some cardstock together, 2mm or roughly 1/16 of an inch is what I've used. All right. So if you use thicker chipboard than that, you might have a little bit of a margin of error, but the process is the same. So what you want to do is, first of all, get your base piece according to your cutting guide, and you want to write where the front and the back is. In my back here to my right side, just to make it easier. Okay, and I'm using fabric tape. You don't have to use fabric tape, you can use paper hinges. If you're using paper hinges, you cut them to 1 inch wide, and you cut them to excuse me, the length, which score those paper hinges at 1/2 inch and crease them excuse me, glue one to the back. Okay, so the first thing I'm doing here is removing my backing because I'm using fabric tape. Okay, a little bit tricky this can be. Okay, because it's super thin, but if you can just master it, it's brilliant stuff because it does make construction a lot quicker. So I'm just going to place it there for now. Try and get it fairly straight, although it's not that big of a deal. And I'm going to attach this on about halfway. Okay, oops. About halfway. Okay, you don't really want that tape protruding past, so if you've not cut it quite straight, go back and trim it straight. You're almost better with it slightly under because... Okay, so this is the back. I've turned it to the right. So you would then want to pick your back piece. Okay, so this is the base, this is the back piece, and what you want to do is you want to put a thin bead of glue along the long side of the back piece. So you've got a long... All right, and you're going to do your best to jut this really tightly up against where it says back, and even top and bottom. Okay, I'm actually just going to put glue on the bottom here as well because it'll give me wiggle room on my tape. Okay, you're not going to see any of the glue, so don't worry. Just don't have big splodges that will dry lumper. Okay, so now I'm going to flush top and bottom. Okay, right up against that chipboard edge. Push it so that it's right up against. Okay, and it's flush top and bottom. So feel for it with your fingers to make sure it's flush and it's right up against that chipboard. Just need to push him down ever so slightly. Okay, I'm happy with that. So then at this side where my chipboard is, I can grab my bone folder and I can just lift that up, and I'm going to just slide my bone folder underneath and start and crease that tape. Okay. Okay. So that I've got a nice tight wrap. Okay. And then push it upwards. Okay. And that should give you a lovely, lovely tight fitting angle there. All right. It's starting to get structure already. Okay, so that's the back. Now ideally you wait in between for things to dry. I know that's a bit of a monotonous process, but there you go. Okay, I'm just going to put something behind there to support that. Okay, I'm going to keep going. So now I want some tape along here, which is my right side. So I'm going to measure the length. I'm going to cut myself some tape. Okay. Just going to check the length of it because I'd rather it was under than over. Okay, because you're not going to see when we've wrapped, but if it's too much, it's tricky to start trimming it off. So again, I'm going to remove my backing. Place that fairly straight, then lift your piece, being careful because if it's still wet, about halfway onto that tape. Okay. I'm going to push that up against it. Then it says RS, so you want to grab your right piece. Now on this one, it's going to go right up against there, and it's also going to overlap. It's going to overlap on here, so the edge of here, yeah, this, not the edge here, is going to go onto the very edge of this chipboard here. Okay, so we're going to put a thin bead of glue there on the side, and then we're going to do the bottom again and again right at the bottom, and I'm going to just do mine on the edge as well so that I've got wiggle room. I'm making a right mess of that. I'll spread it on with my fingers. Okay, now your box will come to a state what I call the ugly state. Okay, where it looks like it's a hot mess. Okay, don't worry, trust the process. Okay, trust the process. So where you've glued there, okay, this is why it's easier to wait until it's dry. Butt it right up against the bottom one. Okay, push it up, have a look, turn it around, and it wants to be just overlapping that one ever so slightly. So push it until it's overlapping and it's neat. Okay. Alright. You might need to hold it for a minute while the glue just goes tacky. Once it's tacky, you're fine to let go. Okay. Okay. I'll just wait for mine to get tacky. As your glue starts to get tacky, turn it to the side. Okay, I can't lift it up because it's still wet and I'm not doing it twice. Turn it to the side and make sure that those two pieces are butted up against each other like that. Okay, so that this piece here is buttered up against that one. So you've got that. That's how you're going to get a nice neat corner. If I just try and show you. Can you see how it's buttered up against that one? Okay, so my glue's tacky now. I'd rather wait for it to dry, but let's get on. And I'm going to do the same process. Okay, I'm going to carefully lift my tape. I'm going to hold my box, and I'm going to go in with the sharp point of that bone folder, and I'm going to press it against the bottom of there. Okay, and it will start, and take your time, it will start and lift up. Okay, and then you can press it up against your chipboard. And if you take your time, okay, take your time. I will risk mine and show you. You'll get nice neatness. Okay, you can see that that's overlapping onto there, that's sat onto that one. Okay, so then we're going to carry on going. We're going to look for our front piece. Okay, now we're going to do exactly the same. The exact same process with the left side. We're onto the left panel. Sorry, not the front panel. We've just done the front panel. So I've pre-cut my tape to try and save time. So I'm going to place it there. I'm going to place that on top to about halfway. Okay, and now this piece you want to glue along the bottom, and then you want to glue, where's it going? Let me just remind myself where, and then you want to glue both sides because it's going to butt onto the top of here, not inside like that, but on the outside like that with the edges flush. So glue along the bottom again. And along each side. My hand-eye coordination, shocking, can you see? Like that. I'm going to put some along the bottom because I'm using tape and I want some wiggle room. I could have just put a bead of glue straight onto the tape, but I'd rather it soak into the chipboard. So we've got it either side, bottom and on there. So this now is going to stick to the ends of here, okay, which is your front panel and your back panel, okay. So I'm getting my chipboard, and now it's really important, try your best to get it all nicely lined up, because it would be such a shame for you to get so far and then have the final piece not straight, okay. So I want that right in. I'm pushing it with my fingers, and then I'm lining. I smush that glue about a bit. I'm lining it up with that edge so that it's sat underneath. Okay. And I'm going to do the same at this side and make sure it's sat underneath. Okay. If you just run your finger like so along the corner, you'll know you've got it and it's kind of flush. Okay. And with my bone folder again, I can, oh, I'm stuck to my tape. There we go. Press down on my base, and by creasing that, it's also creasing the tape, but it's also encouraging that chipboard to go right up against that other piece. Okay, so that bit is perfect. I'm just waiting for these side pieces to dry. Okay, and as you can see, we've got a nice neat box. Okay, it shouldn't be wobbly if you've used chipboard. We should be getting there. You just need to keep an eye on these side parts whilst they dry and keep checking and lining them up. Okay, because it'll just look neater. If it's not perfect, don't worry too much. You know, it's not end of world. Right, I'm just going to go in there and I'm going to remove some of this excess glue. Although I'm not going to see it, but it will bother me. And I'm just going to wait now for that to dry. Then we'll move on to the next part. Okay, so now all of that's dry, our next process is to cover these edges. So I've cut 4 pieces of my fabric tape, measured them at 5.5. Okay, and what we're going to do is we're going to stick them flush with the bottom. Okay, so you need to make sure those edges are straight, flush with the bottom, and then it's going to tuck inside like that. Okay, so I've got one that I've taken the backing off, so I'll do one. Okay, and see how we go. So I'm going in here about halfway. I want it flush with that edge. I've got all bits stuck on there because I've got glue all over my hands. So I'm finding the edge, I'm trying to get that as straight as I can. okay, with that bottom edge, just to keep it nice and tidy. Okay. Okay, doke. Let's see if I can get it on neatly. Okay. Alrighty. Okay. If you've got any chipboard showing, I've got a tiny bit there. Just go in with a Sharpie and colour it in. It's no bigger. Okay, it'll look nice and neat. Okay, I'm just going to do the edge of there because it looks a bit white. So then what we do with the top piece, we are going to get our scissors and we're going to cut a V. So you're cutting a V at an angle. Can you see we're cutting a V at an angle to the corner and at this side to the corner. Okay, and then you want to pull this V bit. Okay, just it's all sticking together. Pull the V bit and pull it as tight as you can and tuck it into there, and then pull these bits around and tuck those in. Give it a good squeeze so you've got a nice crisp edge. Okay, best that you can. Okay, it's not too bad. And then do the exact same process on all four sides. I'm just going to show you my last one. So I found that if you put the box on its end like that, it's actually easier. So get your tape, find the middle, line it up with the bottom. You want more or less halfway. Okay, then smooth it on there and then you can roll it around that corner. That's an even easier way of doing it. Okay, then again, come in. That one's a little bit far over, can you see? Be alright. I'll manage. Cut it at a V. Tuck the V in. Squeeze it as far into the corner as you can. Make sure all of that's in. And then tuck those side bits in. And you should have a fairly neat corner. Okay, so what we're going to do now is we're going to cut some strips and cover over the top. So literally all you need to do is cut your strips, measure them to the width of the box, okay, and layer them on and cut them over. So let's have a look. You can measure it and then trim this stuff on your trimmer to make sure it's perfectly straight. But because it's going to be at the inside of the box, I'm not too worried. So I'll show you the process and then you just do the same on all four sides. And then the next stage will be the lid. So I'm going to lift it up like that. I'm going to put it end to end, trying to be straight. Don't forget all of this is going to get covered over with patterned paper. Okay. Try and get it onto the top. And then roll it around. Just squeeze it over. Nip and push, nip and push, nip and push. Okay? And that's how you do it. All right. Give it a burnish. And continue all the way around the box. Okay, so cut your lid and the flap. Make sure you write on which is the back and which is the front and double check, because as you can see I wrote mine wrong because they are different. It's 6 7/8 one way and 7 1/8 another way. Okay, so double check. Okay, that's the back, so that's going to go to the back, okay, of your box. So turn it to your left and then your flap wants to go there, and it's the same Well, you can't really get that wrong. So what you want to do is also grab yourself a offcut of your chipboard width, okay, to get this spacing between here right, so that this will fold, okay. Let me just make sure it's gonna, yeah, because you don't want it catching. So get some tape. You want it with overhang, okay, because you want to wrap it over with a decent kind of increment. Okay, so I'll cut one for the top and one for the bottom. So those are your 2 long pieces, and then you need 3 of the shorter pieces. 4 of the shorter pieces. Okay, so these don't want to be bigger, they want to be the same size. Okay, so there's one. And if anything, you want them a little bit smaller, not bigger. Okay, I'm going to cut mine just under. Yeah, so it's just under. Yeah, try and cut it straight. And then you want 4 pieces. 2, 3, 4. I'm doing rough measurements here. Okay. So you want to start with your shorter pieces. So you want 1 at the end, 1 in the middle, and 1 at the other end. Okay. If I can get this tricky stuff off. So, the end here. Okay. Get it fairly straight on your mat. You want it about halfway. No, on the back. Is that right? Yeah, on the back. So centralise it about halfway. Okie doke. Job's a good one. And then we're going to do the same for the middle piece, and we're going to put 1 on the end as well. Okay. Ugh, she's doing my nutting. Me and Patience, we're not known to be in the same room at the same time. Okie doke. That's that one, but I can't prep this stuff ahead of time, guys, because, you know, I want to show you everything. So about halfway again. Okay, now before we add the flap, this is where your scrap piece of chipboard comes in. Okay, so you want to butt your scrap piece up against there. Don't press it right down because you want to remove it, and then put your flap down with that small gap in between so that it will fold closed. Try and get it flush top and bottom. Okay, and then remove that. Am I happy with that gap? Let me have a look if it folds. And if it folds flush like that, mine's a tiny bit off, but it doesn't matter. If it folds near enough flush like that, you've got your spacing right. Okay, so then you want to get another piece, and we're going to put that on the end. Okay, again about halfway. And then you want to get your last piece and you want to cover this up. Okay, but you want to do it in a certain way. So turn it towards you. Ignore them long pieces for now. Turn it towards you and stick it only on one half. So stick it only on the flat part. Okay, so you're not sticking it all the way down. All right, whilst you're lifting it up, get your bone folder. Let me find my other one. Okay, and you want to push it into that gusset without it attaching to the other side first. Okay, into the gusset. There we go, it's going in. Okay, just so that you've not got too much restriction on that when it folds closed. Okay, and then roll it around, and then it will close like so. It only has to close at a, doesn't have to close all the way. Yeah, it only has to close to go over the box. Then you want to get your long pieces, remove the backing and add them halfway again, the same as we've done before. Okay, so I'm just bobbing that down. I'm going to use my pokey tool because it's non-stick, she says, and my bone folder because it's Teflon. Okay, try and get that fairly straight. I'm going to weigh it down with my pokey tool. Okay, and just leave my bone folder there a minute. Lift the whole thing onto it about halfway. Okay, and add it on. Then do the same at the bottom. Okay, so at this point you want to trim off if you've got an excess. Okay, you want that edge to be straight there. You want that to be straight there. Oops, I've overcut there a bit. Slipped, be right. And this bit's all right. Okay, so now you want to cut at an angle there. Do we? We're cutting at a V there. I think we'll cut at a V just in case. I've not done this before, so no, we're making it up. I'm going to cut it at I'm going to cut it at a V and tuck it in. Okay. I'm going to tuck that V in. Okay. I'm going to do the same at this. So this is on the back piece. We're cutting a V. I just want to make sure that that corner's wrapped. Okay. Because we're going to have to attach this to our box in a minute. So then this side here, you want to mitre about 1/4 of an inch away, I reckon. Probably cut it too short, now my luck. But if I can see any chipboard, I'll just colour it in with a Sharpie. I'm not that bothered. Okay, and then what you want to do here is you want to start and wrap this. I'm going to have a gap. Never mind. Start and wrap it. Okay, up to the gusset. And don't press into the gusset. Press that down, then push towards the gusset and get that really in. Really, really firmly in. Okay, and then wrap the rest. Burnish it. Try not to touch that too much. You're going to need it in a minute. And do the same here. So we're starting from the corner. We'll pull in. Okay, stop at the gusset. Pull at the other side of the gusset. And push in where you've got a bubble. Push it in towards the gusset. And push it into your fold. And then here you should have some overlap. Press it down. I've cut mine too short. Where you've got the overlap, fold it in and wrap this bit. Oh no, it just about meets. I've just got away with that. Okay, now you can shape the flap. You could round it, you could angle it. I haven't, because I don't want to complicate using the tape. Okay, so now this bit, pulling it tight, pushing it with my fingers. Right, so I've got a bit of overhang there, so I'm just going to trim that off so that it's flat like so. Then this bit here, you want to, from the corner there, you want to mitre it inwards. Just for now, we might have to trim some more off, I'm not sure. Mitre it inwards, okay? And then this is going to attach to the back of your box. Again, you're gonna need the spacing fella. I'm just gonna do mine by eye. The most important thing is that you get the actual box centralized, okay, because this is slightly bigger than the box, so it wants to be centralized, which means look for the middle. It might be easier if you kind of place the box on the top of the lid, okay, like I am. Just making sure that all fits, yeah. Place it on the top, okay, and then centralize it. Flush with the very back of the chipboard, yeah, because that wants to do that, what's it there, yeah. You getting your spacer doofer that you used earlier. Just make sure this is all straight. Mine's not even straight. Make sure this is straight. And you've got it lined up and centralised. Yeah. Just check on all sides. I think it can just go over there, just a hair width. Yeah. Happy with that. Because this lid that's under here is just ever so slightly wider on each side, so take your time and look. Get it where you're happy. Use your spacer board right up against the edge of there. Okay. That's not going to work, is it? That's not going to work. That's not going to work. Tell you what we'll do. We'll do it this way. We'll have to do it this way. So we're going to have to do it this way. Okay. So spacer there. And you're going to have to line it up this way. Okay. So. Just stand up to do it. Okay, so I'm centralising it and I'm going up against. Make sure this says back. Otherwise you've had it. Up against that board. You could just about eyeball it, to be honest. Okay. But you just want a small gap. Otherwise it won't close. There we go. Okay, remove my spacer. So can you see how you've just got a bit of a gap? Okay. So before I absolutely, completely and utterly am happy with that, I'm going to make sure everything shuts. And it does. We're going to have a closure. Okay. We're going to have a closure on there. And I've got an even gap each side. So I'm happy with that. So let's have a look. I'm going to commit and press. Don't forget, all of this is going to be covered over with patterned paper. So remember when I said you're going to have an ugly, a part where it looks ugly. Here we are. This is the part where it looks ugly. Okay. So what you just want to do now is you just want to have a look in there. And if you think that tape is too far over, okay, because this is bigger than the box, you just want to go in with a blade and just nick it out. Okay, just nick it out with a blade without cutting your lid. Okay, and at this side, just nick it with a blade. And just take that little tiny bit out. Just that little tiny bit there, or fold it in, whichever. Just going to fold it in. Okay. Now while I'm here, I'm now going to add another piece. That is the length of the box. And that will just tidy that bit up. It'll just tidy it up. Okay. So about there. So you want it the length of the box. Okay. About there. Take your time. I'm trying to rush now because I'm mindful that I've been filming for what feels like forever and 10 days. So now I'm going to tidy that up with tape on there. It's covering over all of those joins. Again, I'm going to go in with my bone folder down into the gusset before I commit to the other piece of chipboard. Okay, make sure that's well and truly in on both sides of the lip, as it were. And then I can press that down. Okay, and there's our box. Okay, my corner's not terribly tidy there. I might try and see if I can just tidy that up with my bone folder. Fine. And then anywhere where I can see any bare chipboard, I've just got like a millimetre showing there. Literally a spot, and a spot here, because it's impossible to cover it perfectly. Okay, and then all you've got to do is line it with patterned paper. Okay, you can either do a policy closure or you can add magnets before you layer. If you're using magnets, bear in mind that this is quite strong stuff, so you might need to put like one magnet there and one magnet there. Okay, I'm just going to go all the way around and I'm going to re-burnish everything. But that box might seem like we've gone through a lot of process just for a very simple box, but you know, we're putting 12 folios and photos in it. We don't want it going anywhere. We don't want it falling to pieces after a couple of months. We want it absolutely spot on. So if you want something spot on, you take time. I'm just drawing a line down the seams of my tape because I can see white and it's bugging me. Okay. I don't want to see any white. All right. So there you go. And that is lined up beautifully. Okay, you might just want to give this a bit of a fold in both directions to make it a bit more flexible, but there you go, absolutely perfect. And then our folios will all go in there, and there's room for all the rest of the collection. So then it's just down to decorating, so go and have some fun. You will have seen my finished one at the beginning. It's a long process, but it's definitely worth it. That's going nowhere and it'll last forever and ever. So thanks for watching. Take care and I'll see you soon. Bye.